Nintendo games are super popular. We've got Mario, Zelda, Metroid, and Pokemon. With names like that, it's easy for other Nintendo franchises to be misjudged or even overlooked. So let's give those franchises a little bit of spotlight. Here comes
the top 10 most underrated Nintendo franchises.
Number 10, Balloon Fight. Balloon Fight kind of just started off as like a rip-off of Joust, which is not really a bad thing, but it was still nothing too special. But then it came out with Balloon Kid, which was essentially just the sequel to Balloon Fight, and it was fantastic.
And nobody played it.
So if you've got a couple dollars and you have a 3DS, you should play it. You should give it a shot. It's one of the greatest games I've ever played. Number 9, the Star Fox series, with the exception of Star Fox 64. Oh, Fox McCloud, you poor schmuck. Why'd you have to go and raise the bar with Star Fox 64? You have such great games, but the only problem is that with the fucking Star Fox 64, everyone expected bigger and better. Bigger and better.
Bigger and better.
But these games aren't that bad. Star Fox Assault is not that bad. The voice acting's pretty bad, but the gameplay is fun. You know, you're not always in the ship, but being on the ground is pretty fun. I mean, like, you're not expecting it, but it's fun. Yeah. And Star Fox Adventures, I know a lot of people hate. I thought it was really good. The only thing I didn't like was the fact that you had to not fight General Scales at the end. Yeah. There was a platform to fight him. They even let you attack him once, but then it just cuts to a cutscene, and you never see him again. They dropped the ball on that. But no, really, the Star Fox series is really good. And if you just look past the fact that the Star Fox 64 and the first Star Fox did things for the industry, you could still enjoy Star Fox. You just gotta look past that. Just look past it. Really. No, these games really aren't that bad. Number 8, Kid Icarus. I love Kid Icarus. I think that the first one on the Nintendo is fantastic. People will tell you it's too hard. Those people are wrong. They just can't get past the first level, and so they say it's too hard. Once you get past the first level, though, you're good. There's so many things that are great about this game, and the other levels are not that hard, so I say definitely check that out, because you get upgradable arrows, upgradable health, cool bosses, cool dungeons. It's just a ton of fun. And then when you go on to the Game Boy one, it fixes the issue that was wrong with the first level of the first game. You know, you can drop down and you can go, there's no pits in the first level, and you're good. I think that one's definitely worth checking out too, even though that was made in the US and that doesn't really make a difference. I still think you should check it out. And then Masahiro Sakurai, the guy who made Super Smash Bros. Brawl, made a sequel on the 3DS, and that game is also really, really criminally good. It's so gorgeous looking. It's fun to play. It's a full experience. It's up there with Mario and stuff. You guys gotta check it out if you haven't already. I'm sure you have. But yes, Kid Icarus, number 8 spot, totally deserving of this spot. Great game. Number 7,
Punch-Out!
Punch-Out is one of my favorite Nintendo franchises. It's so good. On the surface, it just looks like a boxing game with cartoon characters. That is totally far off from the truth. It is really more of a reflex and pattern memorization game. Basically, the other boxers give you a hint on when they're about to do their attack. Sometimes you have to dodge a certain way, sometimes you don't. But basically, you have to dodge their attack and then your counter attack, and it feels so satisfying. And there's hidden ways to get star punches and beat the crap out of them. It's just, it's so good. And the first one was pretty much, it trendsetted. It was the most gorgeous looking NES game that I can think of. I remember when I first saw it, I thought I was playing an actual cartoon. Like, these guys look so detailed compared to other Nintendo games. And then Super Nintendo comes out and Little Mac looks completely scary, but it's alright because the game still played really well, and the boxers looked even more like cartoon characters than ever before. And then it went dormant for a very long time, and it made me very sad, and I wanted to kill myself. But that's in the past because they came out with a Nintendo Wii sequel that was even better than the last two. It was so good. It was 3D, but the characters animated just like cartoon characters, and it was so cool because their nationalities were the language that they would speak, so you had to go online to figure out what they said and stuff, and it had full voice acting. Oh man, I want to go play that game right now, actually. But you guys should pick up that game, especially the Wii one. Just pick up the one on the Wii, please. I'm pretty sure it didn't sell well, and it needs to be played by everybody because it's probably the best game on the Wii. I probably shouldn't have said that because you guys are going to tell me a million times no, but I fucking love this game. Please play it. Please. 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 Number 6, Star Tropics. Star Tropics is one of those rare games that was made by Nintendo, but not Nintendo of Japan. So Nintendo these days doesn't give a shit. But yeah, Star Tropics was a US and European only game, and it was a lot like The Legend of Zelda. It was fantastic, it was colorful, it was very detailed. The bosses were immense and beautiful looking and had their own strategies you had to make to beat them. There was heart containers like Zelda. If there was exploration, there was I'm just falling in love with every game on this list, and I apologize, but this game is just criminally underrated. Nobody really plays it anymore. Nobody really cares about it. No one really talks about it. If you go on the Smash Brothers forums, almost nobody talks about it. It's not even featured anywhere on Super Smash Bros. Brawl. It doesn't even have a sticker, and there was like 600 something stickers, maybe more. So it just goes to show you how little everybody in the world cares about this game right now. But you should play it. If you like the original Legend of Zelda, you should play it. If you like the Legend, you should play it. You should definitely play this game. The sequel is not as good, but if you have to have more Star Tropics action, that's where it's at. Just play the second one. Don't know what else to tell you. This game is immensely good. I would recommend it to anybody, especially anybody who's looking for a new Nintendo game to play that they've never played in the past. Star Tropics, 100%.
Number 5.
Pikmin. Pikmin is totally rad. I fucking love Pikmin, and the only problem is that nobody else seems to, and I know exactly why. You know, the first game, you had to run on a time limit, and I hate time limits. Everybody hates time limits, except for Majora's Mask people. They're something else. But with Pikmin, you know, you can work around it. And I didn't realize that until much later, and I didn't finish the game until much later because of that. But when I did, I realized how fantastic this game actually is. You know, it has such a unique concept. It has a great atmosphere. It's got a little bit of story, so it's not completely pointless. I always think that good video games should have at least some kind of story to keep you engaged, unless it's online. And the enemy designs and everything, they're iconic. They look so cool. And some of them are huge. And what makes this franchise so endearing is that the first game offers the time limit. So you're working yourself really hard to make sure you get those chip pieces in the most efficient time possible. The second game focuses on exploration. You don't have to manage your time as quickly as possible to get everything done in one day. It's more about the wealth of content, you know, finding things that you would not find in the first game, which is like Duracell batteries with funny names. And but the thing is that no game is better than the other. I wouldn't say play Pikmin 2 only because it's the superior one, and I wouldn't say the same for the first game. They both offer something completely different, and that's why I love Pikmin so much. It's one of those rare games that the only two that exist in the series offer something dynamically different, and both of them are really good in their own way. But for some reason, nobody wants to play it. I think that's just a huge shame. The third game is coming out on the Wii U. I demand that whoever watches this video buy this game, or at least 2 copies, and donate it to charity or something, because Nintendo needs to know that this series is welcome in the gaming universe, where there's just a huge flood of Call of Duty and God of War, you know, all those games that really, they're not that special. I'm sorry. I mean, they're fun, but let's be serious. A game like Pikmin is one of a kind, and we need to see more of this in the industry. Please buy the new one that comes out, and play these ones in the meantime, because it's just such a fantastic series. Number 4, Rhythm Heaven. Rhythm Heaven is one of those rare games where nobody wants to play it, and then when they get their hands on it, they can't get enough of it. I remember I picked up Rhythm Heaven Fever for the Nintendo Wii, and I thought it was so good, and I had to tell everybody about how great it was. I'd bring people over, and everybody had the same reaction. They'd look at the game, think it was absolutely ridiculous, and say, I don't think this game's for me. And then I would force the controller in their hand, and I'd put a gun to their head and say, you play this fucking game! And then when they played it, they loved it. They couldn't get enough of it. They had to play it. They had to come over and play the game. They didn't even want to hang out with me. They just wanted to play Rhythm Heaven. And it's hard to explain. It's just something about keeping with the rhythm. You feel like you're actually accomplishing something meaningful while playing a fun game. And seeing it all come together is just a ton of fun. Again, this is just one of those games where I don't think it's sold very well, and people need to play it because it's just so exquisite. Because I'm tired of saying the word good. Yeah, Rhythm Heaven. For the Wii, I would strongly recommend the most.
Number 3, Earthbound/Mother.
Anybody who knows me would know that I love Earthbound. It's no surprise, it's actually one of my favorite games of all time. But it doesn't rate number 1 because it is very much celebrated in Japan. I mean, they have events for this game. People take days off from work to play this game in Japan. It's just that it ranks as high as it does because in America, Nintendo of America fucking hates your guts and doesn't want you to even know that this game exists. And then there's people out there that know about Earthbound and they'll just slam on it as being overrated, which is an overstatement. Earthbound is a fantastic game, and the other games in the series are also extremely well thought out and charming and funny. It's such a bizarre game. I definitely would recommend Earthbound beyond all others because I feel like it's the definitive experience. It's just the journey. You go through all these areas non-stop. There's no level separation. There's no overworld map to disjoint you from these towns that you're visiting. It's all from beginning to end. You can walk from one part of the game all the way to the end, almost. And it's so funny. You just talk to all the NPCs and they all have something interesting to say. I didn't know this until I played it several times later because I used to always skip talking to NPCs that weren't important. Big mistake if you're playing Earthbound. It's just a ton of fun. Nobody really cares. They'll look at it and they'll say, oh, the battle system looks really cheesy. Or, oh, I played Chrono Trigger, so what does this game have? This game has so much, not more than Chrono Trigger, but it has so much more to offer that's different from Chrono Trigger. And everything is polished about this game. Like, if you don't like the first-person battle system, just keep in mind that at the time, this is as good as it got. It was extremely detailed looking. It wasn't random generated battles. Give it a shot. I feel like if you play it all the way to the end, there's no way you can hate it. That's my opinion. Earthbound, or the Mother series. And Mother 3 is really good too. Just not enough time to talk about it. I think you should pick up both and play them. There you go.
Number 2, Furble.
That's Fire Emblem, by the way. Fire Emblem is number 2 on this list because for the longest time, Nintendo of America did not give this game a chance. They kept thinking, well, it's too hard for these dumbass gamers that live in our town. Nintendo, sometimes you're just dumb, okay? I know that I'm dedicating a top 10 to you, but sometimes you can be a little stupid. You can be a little bit blonde. And when Fire Emblem did come out, it was somewhat successful, even though it had Marth and Roy promoting the crap out of the series. Not a lot of people picked up the Game Boy Advance one. And then the DS one bombed, I heard. I heard the one that featured Marth, the character that everybody wanted to try out in his own game, did not sell well. And thankfully, on the 3DS, it finally took off. Everybody has to have a copy. You can't find it anywhere. I dare you to go to your store and try to find Fire Emblem Awakening. Post a picture. I don't care. I doubt you can. I'm sure you're just going to rip it off of Google anyway, because you're just going to try and you're going to realize that you wasted your life trying to prove me wrong. And yes, this series is a turn-based strategy game, and as far as I can tell, it's one of the best available. I think it's very interesting because there's characters that have their own unique traits, and you can lose them forever. How sad. And it's very story-driven. I prefer it over something like Final Fantasy Tactics, which everybody raves about. But then you go to Fire Emblem, and who talks about it? Maybe some nerd on the internet, but not in real life, not usually. I mean, I found like one person who was obsessed with them, and you know, there's for good reason. He must have discovered it once, and then he was just hooked. So, Fire Emblem, pick it up. It's extremely popular now, but it's still underrated in my book. Number 2, in fact.
And the number 1 most underrated Nintendo game is...
That's right, F-motherfucking Zero. Everybody knows what F-Zero is. Nobody plays it. Nobody buys it. Even Shigeru Miyamoto was like, whoa, wait, there's fans for F-Zero out there? This isn't Reggie Fils-Aimé saying this. This is Shigeru Miyamoto. This is the guy that's actually at the helm making these games. This is the guy that will actually give Earthbound a pass and put it out in Japan and put out sequels in Japan. This is the guy that's like, we'll give Pikmin another shot even though people... He doesn't even think that there's fans for F-Zero. F-Zero is... it's so much... Ew, blah, 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 blah. Sorry.